my two passions in life are psychology and cheerleading. And so what better job than to put the two together? And that's what brought me here today, is my passion and love for cheerleading, as well as the ability to use my insight and knowledge now as a psychotherapist and help blend the two together. So I wanted to first start off by telling each one of you I am really impressed, and I thank you for taking the time out of your day on a Sunday to come and listen to both myself and Debbie talk about your kids and how you can support them better at being parents of athletes. So I think there's a very delicate balance that we have to possess when we are parents and when we have kids in sports. I know I personally have a very difficult time knowing that eventually my 4-year-old is going to get involved in athletics. At what level, I'm not sure, but I was a very competitive cheerleader. I was a very competitive gymnast. I love to compete. There are so many life lessons that I learned that I want to pass on to my daughter. And I've been researching a lot on sports psychology, a lot on the effects of parenting, what's the balance of being a parent as well as having an athlete as a child. And the amount of information that's out there is pretty good. It's getting better. And I wanted to share some of that information with you all today. So basically right now, the difficulty that we have as parents is that we want what is best for our kids. And who knows our kids better than us, right? You all know your kids better than anyone else in this world. And sometimes we as parents have a very difficult job as our kids grow up to be able to balance what's our role now. So right now, a lot of studies and a lot of research shows that when our kids are about 6 or 7 years old, and before that, they do not have the ability to stand up for themselves, especially to another adult, and communicate what it is that they want. So our role as a parent is a supervisor. We are with our kids. They're, like, imagine a little girl right here, walking, and I'm supervising, I'm watching, I'm seeing what's going on, and I'm helping her navigate the world. I'm talking to her in her ear, okay, this is what happens when this person says not nice stuff to you. This is probably what it feels like. It's called mirroring. You help them understand what it is that they're going through. Because this doesn't happen automatically. We don't automatically understand what's going on. A lot of us as adults have pain, but we are the results of our experiences as a kid. Our parents couldn't protect us from everything, and a lot of us now live our lives every day and be like, I don't want my child to experience that. I don't want them to feel like I don't support them. Some parents now, as kids, didn't feel like they were supported. So what do? We do the opposite. And unfortunately, that puts us in a bind. Because we don't have quite the information that would be most beneficial to us on how to actually help our kids grow and develop into emotionally solid individuals. Good thing you all are here, and good thing we can talk about it, so that you can start educating yourself and understanding. So I was talking about around the age of 6 or 7, we're still a supervisor. Around 8 years old, we start moving from supervisor to consultants. And what that looks like and what that is we start to step back and we allow our child to make a mistake. None of us want to do it. It hurts. It's painful. Trust me, I understand. I see it. But it is the most important thing to allow our children autonomy. Allow them the opportunity to become their own. I was talking to Debbie just the other day. And we were talking about what it's like when our kids grow up, and we do a good job. Eventually they leave. They will leave your house, and they will get married, hopefully, or live a life and move somewhere, because you did it right. Yes, even at 8 years old, that is what we're looking for, to develop truly happy and healthy individuals. We are starting to allow them to make choices, and we stand back as a consultant, and they come to us, mom, dad, blah, 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 as an issue. If we are next to them, still being a supervisor when they are 9, 10 years old, they don't learn what it's like to be able to do it on their own, and they actually think, right now research would say, those children believe that you don't think they can do it. They actually don't think that you believe that they're capable of doing it. when most of our intentions are so loving and it's, no, I just don't want you to get hurt. The reality is to be a good parent, especially a good parent of an athlete, is you have to allow your children to experience pain. So what does that look like as a cheerleading parent? Let's say, for example, you start understanding cheerleading really well. You start getting invested in it, you've been in it a long time. Eventually, whether you were a cheerleader or not, you become kind of a little bit of an expert. Often, we then have opinions when we are experts. We start thinking, all right, well, you know what? I actually think that my daughter, Haley, has better jumps than the girl that is choreographed in the center. You now get a choice. You are either a supervisor or a consultant, and you get to make a choice. What do I do in that situation? Do I say something? Do I step in? And this is often when there becomes a disparity between parents and coaches. In that situation, if I were to give that as an example, a healthy way to deal with that situation is actually checking with your child. Sometimes we assume that we do know our child really well, and we really do. Ask them, and what is that like for you that you are not in center? Or maybe they never bring it up. If your child, let's say, get moved off center, they were here, they were front center, great jumps, and all of a sudden they're back here, and you notice it, and you're like, if your kid says nothing, maybe it's actually not a problem for them. Maybe they were at practice and they know why they were over there. If you are a parent, you're like, but I gotta know. Like, I'm dying. Trust me, I know what that's like. You're like, I don't know what to ask, but I gotta know what's going on. Ask your child. I noticed, you just mentioned I noticed that you were in center for jumps and now you are over there. What happened? And you let your child explain. Let's say all of a sudden they burst into tears. My coach hates me and they moved me up to center because I'm horrible. Awesome teachable moment. You get to now process being a consultant with your child. The supervisor would say, you're not horrible, you're great, you're the best, blah, 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 you're this, you're trying to make sure that they understand that it's not about them. A consultant would say, why would you say that? It's inquisitive. Why would you say that you're horrible? Is the front and center the only person that's good on the team? Is it really mean that you're bad that you're there? Do you really truly think your coach is a horrible person? And then you start in that conversation, and as they're giving you that information, you check with them. Is something going on? Have you talked to your coach? Almost never. If a child bursts into tears, have they actually talked to their coach? So now you get to play a role. Let's say your children are 10, 11. You would actually play now as supervisor, because this is probably the first time they've talked to a coach by themselves. You supervise them in that. This is what it would look like, this or this. If your child is a teenager, you want to develop autonomy in that child. Teenager, let's say 14. If they have never talked to an adult ever in their life, this might be the right time that you allow them that really uncomfortable moment to talk to their coach. I promise you, it's not going to be as horrible as they think it is. Sometimes it's called projection. We assume that what our child feels is what we're feeling. It's not always true. Being able to stand there and go, you know what, I know you're capable of doing this. I really think you can do it. And then you check in on them. That's consulting with your teenager. That will allow them, when they're in college, how to advocate for themselves when they're in class. It actually is shown right now in our culture that those students whose parents never let them have that autonomy are the ones calling their college professors asking about their grades. I don't know if that's shocking to you. That is appalling to me to think that your child at 20 years old is having you call their professor to find out their grades. And I don't say that appalling in a judgmental way. I say appalling in like sadness. Your child is going to be dependent on you for the rest of your life. And maybe that's why you're doing it. But it's not, if you truly love your child, you have to allow them that opportunity to grow.